Life is hard. Don't let it get you down. Just hold on till you turn
Hey,
it
thanks for
around.
checking us out again. We appreciate it. Mike Hills, Hills Law Office, and Allison, my lovely co-anchor here, and she was with us on the last video that we had. What questions do we have?
Yeah, so you said to refuse the PPT, the initial roadside test.
Yep.
However, you mentioned the second test, the chemical test,
Yes.
and that you advised doing an independent test, requesting one of those.
Yes.
People were wondering what that was.
Okay. So to recap, we talked about getting pulled over and you're on the side of the road, and the officer typically asks you to do several things. Standard field sobriety test, including the walk and turn, the one-legged stand, and the horizontal line nystagmus test. After that, generally speaking, the officer asks you to take a PBT, or a preliminary breath test, on the side of the road. It's a handheld device that if you refuse it, it's a civil infraction, no points on your license. You just have to pay some money if you get held responsible for that. However, after that, you're placed under arrest, and the officer is going to ask you to take a chemical test. And that can be one of three things. One, a data master test. That's a breath test, usually at the jail. Two, they can do a blood draw. They take you to the hospital, and a phlebotomist will do a blood draw. Three, a urine test, which I haven't had anybody ever do a urine test, so it's really the first two options, either a breath test or a blood test. So when I said, well, my recommendation there is to do an independent test, that comes off of your rights. So the officer is supposed to read you your rights off of a form, and we'll put this form up on our Facebook page. But the form, the chemical test rights, what the officer is reading the suspect, among other things, is after taking my chemical test, so you have to take the officer's test, either the breath or the blood, you have a right to demand that a person of your own choosing administer a breath, blood, or urine test. You will be given a reasonable opportunity for such a test. You are responsible for obtaining a chemical analysis of a test sample taken by a person of your own choosing, right? So you have a right to an independent test, but remember, you're under arrest. You're likely in a jail. You're likely in a hospital surrounded by a cop, at least one. So your ability to get an independent test is, shall we say, handcuffed. So the reason that I advise people to ask for an independent test is if they don't give you a reasonable opportunity to get the test, then we have a shot, if you're in court with us litigating it, to maybe get the actual test thrown out. So that's why I asked, or that's why I advised asking for an independent test, because it throws things into a little bit of disarray, which I like doing.
Do you think they would ever deny or refuse somebody to do an independent test?
Yeah, that has happened, where they just don't do anything. They, being the officers, don't do anything. Then you have a real good shot at suppressing their chemical test. Yeah.
Do you have to do the chemical test theirs first?
Yeah, that's another good issue. Yes, you do have to do their test, or there are consequences. Is that the officer is going to fill out the officer's report of refusal, and he's going to send that to the Secretary of State, and then the Secretary of State is going to put 6 points on your license, and they are going to suspend your license for 1 year. So those are serious consequences for most people, and you don't want that to happen. So all things being equal, yeah, you have to take that test, or bad things are going to happen to your license.
Well, I guess, so what happens if you refuse?
So
and you don't ask for an independent test?
If you refuse and don't ask for an independent test, then you have to contest that refusal. You should contest that refusal. One of the problems with people doing it is that they give you the form, they give you how to do it, because the officer, or at least they should, the officer on the back of the officer's report of refusal is a request for a hearing. And I'll put this up on our Facebook as well. So you're supposed to fill this out and submit it. The problem is it's like on a carbon copy. So when the officer gives it to you, it's here and then it's on the back and nobody ever sees it. Generally not a conspiracy theorist, but you know, there's probably a reason for that. And you only have 14 days to do it. And even if you did refuse, get the hearing, because you never know what's going to happen at a hearing.
And then you get something in the mail and your license is suspended.
Yep.
And then they call us because it's been past the 14 days. Is there
Yep.
anything we can do at that point?
That's a really good question. So yes, if you are on beyond that 14 days and your license is suspended, 6 points added, there is something that can be done. We can file motions. There's hardship appeals, but that kind of gets into the Secretary of State hearing and what you can do after that. I think that would be good for maybe the next video, because there's a lot to that. So maybe next time we'll tackle that, the implied consent hearing and what we can do to get you on the road again.
Come back?
Yeah.
Part 3?
All right. Protect your liberty, stay free.
When the road is hard,
How's that?
I got you. When there's nobody else around.